Hey everybody, it's Charles from HumbleMechanic.com and it's time for another GTI update. As I sit before you in front of the GTI with the sun shining brightly on the passenger side, I'm pumped. We're getting so close to actually having this thing on the road. It's been about a week since I've given you guys an update, so let's talk about what's changed from the last update. I'm at the stage now with a lot of unaccounted things that very early in the project and even up until like a week and a half ago, I wasn't even considering. What do I mean? Well, as you can see, I have a lot of intercooler piping on both sides. That is still kind of in a test fitment stage. I'm trying to design these intercooler pipes so that once they're set where they go and where they fit and where they don't rub and where they're not going to cause interference with anything else, I'm going to start losing the silicone adapters. The more of these you have, the more potential you run into for issues at those unions, at those junctions. So I'd like to get rid of most of them and only have the ones that I absolutely have to have. Those, of course, being at the throttle body, at the pressure side of the turbocharger, and of course at the intercooler, which is not actually installed. But if we look right here, this is the new intercooler. It looks very similar to the old intercooler that I was running. The big difference is in the inlet and the outlets of where they sit in the tank. The other one was about midway on the charge cooler. These are much lower at the bottom, which means that I don't have to have the intercooler so low in order to clear the bumper. So this will fit similar to that. Once I get this mounted up in its exact location, we can really dial in the charge cooler piping and then get them welded up, get them powder coated or whatever finish is going to happen. But we definitely won't have a mix of blue and black couplers on there. They'll probably all be black. There was a big waiting game with waiting for the new intercooler to come so that I could make sure I was mocking it upright, as well as the specialty fittings for the throttle body and the outlet side of the turbo that we talked about last time. So when those came, game time for fitment. I have a little more trimming of the bumper, as you can see by these yellow marks right here. Just a tiny bit more to make the charge cooler fit exactly the way I want it and where I want it to sit. Because remember, we still have to put the bumper cover on. So with the bumper cover on and the intercooler in, I want it to look, I don't need it to be hidden, but I want it to look like maybe it was supposed to be there from the factory, which, as you guys know, is pretty much how I've been rolling the entire time on this GTI build. What other unintended consequences have we ran into? Well, the wastegate. This is an external wastegate turbocharger setup, so the wastegate needs what's called a boost signal in order to function properly. Well, the turbocharger I have is not tabbed for a wastegate for a boost signal. So now we have to look at either taking that compressor side of the turbo off, drilling it, tapping it, and putting a vacuum fitting on it. Or what more likely will happen is I will take the closest pipe to the outlet of the turbo, drill and tap a hole in it, and then just put a vacuum line in it. That'll be the next best thing as to having that fitting on the turbocharger. I called Precision Turbo and asked them what they recommend. They said in the compressor housing is 1, right out of it is number 2. And if you absolutely have to, you can pull it from manifold vacuum or from a manifold source, but it's better to have it at the turbocharger. These guys build wastegates, so we have to assume they know what they're talking about. And let me tell you, one props for Precision Turbo, customer service, amazing, right? I sent them an email and within 15 minutes got a response back, replied to it, and then bam, got an email back in 2 or 3 minutes. Much better than some of the other companies that I've been dealing with during this build with this turbo kit companies who probably aren't going to ever watch this video, but all that will be revealed once the car's running, because I don't want to bring that negativity in while we're so close to getting this car on the road. A couple of other things that I've worked out. I finally figured out the fan setup. As you guys know or may not know, this fan from the factory, this fan setup is one electric fan that has a belt that goes to like a slave fan. That fan has 3 speeds, low, medium, high. The way it works is the fan control module sends low, medium, high signals, and there's a series resistor built into the fan that cuts the speed down. Well, I tried to extract that series resistor from the fan. That didn't really go so well. It's kind of a weird setup. So toss that, and I'm going to run one fan as low speed, And as long as the fan setup behaves the way the wiring diagram is written, this will work perfectly. So I'll probably run this side fan as low speed, and then I'll probably run this side fan as mid and high speed. If the wiring diagram behaves properly, this fan should always be powered no matter what the speed is. If low is on, this fan is on. Mid, high, this fan should always be on full speed. Mid and high, this fan will be on, which means in mid and high, both fans are going to be running. If the wiring diagram is right, which I have so much reservation about that because I've been totally roasted by VW wiring diagrams before, that may not work. And I'll cross that bridge when I get there. But doing it this way means I can either run one single pole double throw relay to control this fan with the 2 outputs from the fan control module, or really, I might not need anything and I can just kind of link the 2 power sources, and as it sends one signal for mid, that'll power the fan, and then when the mid signal drops, the high speed will charge up, and that'll just keep that fan running. There may be some lag with the fan, which I don't really want. A capacitor would overcome that, but then I think we're really getting way deeper in an electrical circuit for fans than we really need to. So again, as long as that diagram behaves the way it's written, come on Volkswagen, we'll be just fine with a super easy fan setup, way less complicated than I had it in my head. Also, exhaust. Exhaust is like knocking on the door of being done. In fact, today as this video comes out, the folks at 42 Draft Design have been awesome. They're hooking me up with a test pipe. Well, I bought the test pipe, but I'm getting the test pipe from them. So that should come in today. That means that we can get the exhaust put on, take the factory exhaust out, put the Borla muffler and full 2.5-inch exhaust all the way back. I'm also waiting on a tool that got lost in the mail, should have been here last week. That should also come today because I do have to cut that exhaust pipe off. And I want to do it clean because I'm actually going to give this exhaust, this factory exhaust, to a buddy of mine for his mom's car so that she has the exhaust, her exhaust is falling apart. So this exhaust is going to keep another VW on the road. The other major hurdle that I want to say is cleared, but I'm not convinced, is this bleep, 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 bleeping bleep oil return line. I've talked about the lack of commitment to detail, I guess, I would say, with some of the kit parts that I've bought for this car. And the drain line for the turbocharger was really high up there. It's a 90-degree into the pan. I don't love how close it's going to be to the axle. The way we're looking at it with the car now, remember, is the suspension unloaded. So as we load the suspension up and put the car on the ground, the axles will actually sit higher than they are now. If we lower the vehicle, it'll be even a little bit more than that. I think we're going to be all right. I think. This will require some very easy test drives, some very easy acceleration, deceleration, and I mean, we're going to be breaking the engine in anyway, so that's what's going to happen. I'll probably put some kind of marking or maybe like some putty around that fitting so that if the axle starts touching it, I can catch it before the axle smashes into it and unloads 6 quarts or whatever, 6 liters of oil that this engine takes. I will be doing some very thorough testing on the fitment of that because it's too close for my comfort. There's some other options I can do. I can cut down that bung coming out of the oil pan. That'll bring the oil 90 in a little bit. Not a ton, but enough that may take the clearance issue up. We also have to be careful, like there's only so much room, right, to spin that 90 around before it starts hitting the pan. So a couple of things to consider that I've considered anyway when dealing with this drain line. Nothing that's not overcomable, but minor issues that do need to be addressed. Other than that, we're really knocking on the door of firing this car up. I am going to order a wideband with an air-fuel ratio gauge as well as a boost gauge. I think I found the solutions for that from AEM, which seems to me kind of strange to run on a Volkswagen. I picture those as Honda parts, but that's okay. They make great quality stuff and it looks good. And yes, I will be getting the matching gauge set. There is a cosmetic factor, guys, to running those kind of gauges, and I do want them to match and look nice in the interior of the car. The boost gauge that I'm getting is cool because it has a built-in boost controller with it, and you can adjust the boost 2 different settings right from the gauge, which is really neat. We got to put the chip in the ECM, which should be all of a 20-minute job. I got to get a battery. This one's smoked, plus it's from 2011, so it's 6 years old anyway. Time for a new one. we need to get an alignment. I'll probably do a string alignment here. That's probably all I'll do until we put the coilovers on, because we're going to need to get a proper alignment when the coilovers get put on. So I'm not gonna get an alignment and then have to just get another alignment. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for all the support, all the comments, all the these on these Wookie update videos. I appreciate your patience with this car. I know it's been so long, and like, I'm just amped. I'm so amped. I want to swear a lot. I'm so excited to finally start to see the year plus of hard work and little knick-knacky details that probably wouldn't have made any difference in the performance of the car, but things like rewrapping the harness make it look so much better, and I'll be happier, and hopefully you guys will be happier watching what it really takes. You know, one of the things about the TV shows, which are well produced, and I know some people that are on these shows and they're amazing people, they don't show you like the grit and the grime and the grind of doing a project like this, the money that you just throw out everywhere, because this stuff is not cheap. Even buying used parts, there's so much in the budgeting of this car that I had no accountment for whatsoever. Things like a boost gauge, things like a wideband O2, never had any inkling of accounting for having to buy that kind of stuff. If you want to do it right, that's part of it. So guys, I'm gonna wrap it up there. If you have questions or comments about today's show, you know what to do. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, throw it a share it in your VW Facebook groups. That would be really rad too. Appreciate that. If you want exclusive content as well as places that have been huge supporters of the build, Eurowise, Black Forest, Sonic Tools, MT Knives, S&P Automotive, Eastwood, and more, check out the crew membership program. There is a link down in the description. It's a great way to score yourself some really awesome discounts and make your money back, as well as help support the show, which is, I appreciate. Also Patreon, also Amazon affiliate, both other ways you can help support the show. That stuff does really help a lot. And if you're a social media or follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course Snapchat. Guys, thank you so much. I love you, and I'll see you next time.